Hobson in a more conciliatory tone, for each feared the other, and he thoroughly understood the spirit of his client. "Let us be reasonable about this. You and I have too much at stake and too many interests in common for us to quarrel like children." "If I were differently situated, I can assure you we would then have very few interests in common," she replied bitterly. "Well, supposing you were, what would you do in this case?" he inquired softly, apparently taking no notice of her remark, but in reality making a mental note of it for future reckoning. "Defeat Ralph Mainwaring by all means. If necessary, produce testimony to show that this will is genuine. If he spends his last shilling to fight the case, so much the better. Then, when the case is settled and this so-called heir is master of the situation, or supposes himself so, bring suit to show that he is an impostor, and assert my own claim as the nearest living heir." Hobson whistled softly. "A plan worthy of your ambition, my lady, but hardly feasible. It is one thing to assert a claim, and another to be able to establish it. Through your over-ambition you would lose in the end, for, should you succeed in dispossessing this stranger, Ralph Mainwaring would surely come forward with his claim, and you would be beaten." "When I lay down arms to a Mainwaring, I will lay down my life also," she said proudly. "You think so, perhaps, but let me tell you the best course for you to pursue is to make terms, either with Ralph Mainwaring, as I first suggested, or else with this newcomer, should he prove victorious, by threatening to expose his whole scheme." Mrs. LaGrange made no reply, and Hobson, rising to leave, saw her face for the first time and paused, surprised at its strange expression. "Well?" he said with a look of inquiry. "My thoughts were wandering just then," she said with a faint smile, and her tone was so changed the voice scarcely seemed her own. "I was wishing, just for the moment, that this stranger, whoever he may be, was in reality the one he claims to be. I would need no attorney to make terms with him then." "You forget he would be a Mainwaring." "Yes, but he would be the only Mainwaring and the only human being I could ever have loved, and I would have loved him better than my whole life." "Love!" repeated Hobson, with a sneer. "Who would ever have thought to hear that word from your lips? But how about your son Walter? Do you not love him?" "Him!" she exclaimed passionately. "The price I paid, hoping to win Hugh Mainwaring! I am proud of him as my own flesh and blood, but love him, never!" "But you have not told me what you think of my last suggestion," he said tentatively, watching her closely. Her manner changed instantly. Rising with all her accustomed hauteur, and turning from him with a gesture of dismissal, she replied, "Come to me later, when I shall have measured lances with our new opponent, and you shall have your answer." He would have spoken, but her dismissal was final, and with darkening face he left the room. Chapter 19.